Welcome to this video about a haul of cassettes I picked up in a couple of markets locally. Please stay and watch the video for some interesting information about these. Welcome again to another video from Avid Retro. Please can you like and subscribe, and I shall try to do some more videos like this and some different videos in the future. So I'm starting today with a cassette haul which I picked up over a couple of trips out, and this is what I managed to secure. Now if you stay on to the end of the video, I'll let you know how much I paid for all of these, the combined cost. But what I did get was, starting from the left, I've got a Phil Collins album, Hello I Must Be Going. I've got some Now anniversary tapes. Now these are quite interesting because these were released around 10 years after the original dates, or less than 10 years after, but they're called the anniversary editions, and I don't think any were actually released onto vinyl. So they were released onto cassette and to CD. There might have been a couple that went onto vinyl, but I don't have those ones here. So I've got a 1984, 1991 and a 1995. So they're quite interesting. Now moving on, I have some Vox tapes. Now these were free tapes that were available with Vox magazine, and these are all from the 1990s. So starting from the left is like the oldest one, and then kind of moving up like that. And then I've got one more cassette, which is one I've never seen before, a rarity I think. I'll show that to you at the end of the video. Let's talk about these cassettes first. So this is a standard single cassette album, and it's Phil Collins, Hello I Must Be Going, with such hits like You Can't Hurry Love, it's not a bad cassette, this one, in that it's actually on decent tape. It's on chrome, so that should sound pretty good. There's no evidence of any mould, so when you are buying cassettes, have a little look to see if there's any mould, and I would say stay clear of those if you can, unless you really must have it for some reason. So these ones I'm showing you now aren't the traditional kind of Now cassettes that were numbered. So you had the Now range that's kind of started Now 1, 2, 3, 4, and it went up and up and up. These came out 10 years later, okay? Or over 10 years later, in fact, to this one. So these two here came out in 1993, reissued, and this one was 1995. So what they did is they released from 1983 to 1995 this anniversary sort of collection, and I don't know if they maybe spent more time on the songs and they had a better selection. I'm not too sure, but there's some crackers on here. It says George Michael, Tina Turner, Tears for Fears, Phil Collins again is on here, Depeche Mode, Madness, The Smiths. So some good tracks on there. Rhythmics, Nick Kershaw, Ultravox. So that's the 1984 one. The 1991 should probably have a bit more sort of dance stuff on it, and it probably does, yeah. So on this side it's got Everybody's Free, Rosella, Insanity, Oceanic, Summertime, DJ Jazzy Jeff. It's got James, Sit Down, good song. It's got reissue there of the Queen hit Bohemian Rhapsody, which came out on the aftermath of Freddie Mercury's passing. And there's Dizzy, Vic Reeves, I remember that one well. Crazy, Seal, Sunshine on a Rainy Day. So some good ones on there. And then looking at this one, which is probably the sort of more least desirable, I guess, because it's essentially the last one in the range. This one's got all the kind of artists that you would expect from that year. So you got Blur, Oasis, Edwyn Collins. Who else we got? E17, M People. Oh, interesting, he got Portishead, Sour Times. It's interesting it found its way onto here. Billy Ray Martin. Alex Party. Living Joy, Dreamer, etc. Oh, Rednecks, Cotton Eye Joe. That was a cracking song, wasn't it? So that's those cassettes there. So these were bought in the same place in a market. One guy that was selling a load of cassettes and a load of bits and bobs. So that's where I got those. I'll tell you more about what I paid and what other people might be paying for them. So they would give away cassettes with Vox magazine, and it was very common on a lot of music magazines to get cassettes stuck to the front cover. And if you're into playing your old cassettes, or even just fixing old Walkmans and cassette players and things, quite useful to have a supply of cassettes that play. So moving to the left side here, this one seems to be 1991, so this is an earlier one. You can see some reasonable artists from the time. The good thing about these cassettes is they all look to be in pretty good condition. There's no mould at all, which is good, and they seem to be ready to play essentially. They're not going to be really fantastic on the audio side because they're just recorded onto standard tape, but you kind of wouldn't expect any more really. So I'll just show you the ones I've got from 1992 then. So this Voxbox, Voxphone, Radio Days from the late John Peel, and Radio On. So they were the 1992 ones. Moving on, they kind of went to the more expensive way of doing things, using proper cases. So these seem to jump. So we jump from 92 in the collection to 94 here. I'll just show you those ones. Oh, I've got 193. I'll start with that one. So that one is from 1993. There's one there from PJ Harvey, who obviously went on to be pretty popular. And some older ones on here as well. So that's that one. That's those. Let's put those down. So now this is 95 now. That's Reservoir Dogs kind of artwork, isn't it? Abattoir Dogs. 15 shots of rock and roll. So some good tracks to listen to on these cassettes. Probably suit most moods as well. So we got Beastie Boys on here, and it says Reservoir Dogs soundtrack as well. Interesting. There's even Oasis on there. So some of these recordings aren't your standard available kind of recordings, well, that were available at the time. So there's probably lots of live tracks and things. And then moving on to this 95 one. I think they're all, yeah, all 95. Oh, that one's lost its cover there. Foo Fighters, Blur, etc, etc. So all quite good, all quite good. So that's those. And then as part of the haul, I found this as well. So this came out of this Vox one, so I just picked this one up. Now I had a look online and it seems to be very hard to find anything out about it. The only entry that I could find was to do with Discogs, and they had a 1987 sort of kind of version of this, but it did have different tracks on, and I had a look at that, and I was quite surprised to see that there were quite a lot of people wanting the other cassette, sort of 32 wants and 2 halves, and one that looked a bit like this sold for £23 back in 2020. So obviously quite rare cassettes, and probably the music that's on here will not be picked up by YouTube. So I'm gonna try playing a bit of this at the end of the video. So I just briefly mentioned there that this may have some value, whereas obviously these other things aren't going to have huge amounts of value. Now, a few of these tapes may be worth several pounds as opposed to kind of 50p or £1 or whatever. If you were to maybe break these up, these Vox cassettes up to sell on eBay, then you probably pick up more money if you sold each one of these on their own rather than in a collection. If you sell them in a collection, then they tend to go fairly cheap. So, but when I say fairly cheap, I guess they'd probably go for, I don't know, £15 or something like that for all of them. So that's those. And then the now ones, they do kind of vary a little bit in what they're worth. So I had a look online, and this one may go on eBay for around £10. So that's that one. And then these other 2 nows seem to be more rare, and these would go for around £15 each. So they're sort of, yeah, it's all kind of starting to add up a little bit, isn't it, on those now ones. And then the Phil Collins album, I would say, is not really worth very much, probably worth sort of £3 or £4. But anyway, what I paid for all of these altogether is £7. So it does show that if you are out there and you're having a look around and you're trying to find some bargains, obviously the days of collecting mini discs, pre-recorded albums, is long past. I mean, they were really never available for cheap money. Occasionally people may have been lucky in charity shops with some of those, but that was a long time ago now. So your next best bet, if you're into kind of portable devices and you want to expand your music sort of taste, and you want to try listening to different things and just have a varied kind of lineup, then cassettes are probably not a bad way to go. And if you're careful and you can pick them up relatively cheap, then you can actually grab some real bargains. Let's get ready to play one of the tracks off of this album here. So I'm going to play this video out now with one of the tracks from the cassette that I can't seem to find any information about. This is being played on a 1983 Grundig RR340 stereo. This is my original one I had when I was a teenager, and it basically had a fault because I used to play it really loud, and I managed, unbelievably, to blow one of the channels, and I was able to send it away because it was under a year, and they were able to repair it and send it back to me. But what happened is I always noticed that one channel would be slightly lower than the other. So what I had to do was to adjust this balance to compensate, but I was lucky that I had that option. But as you can see, it's a little bit grubby. It's been in the garage, hasn't been worked on at all since it went to the workshop for that. So it's on the original bout, maybe playing slightly slower than it should do, and surprisingly it's still working after 41 years. Yeah, so let's put that on and see how it sounds. So that's a little bit sticky on the leader, so that's a sign that the bout is a little bit weak. Probably does need changing. So as you can see, not the best player for playing back tapes, but the speakers still work anyway. Thank you for watching this video. Please can you like and subscribe. I will do some more videos in the future. If you'd like to ask any questions about any of these cassettes, then please put your questions into the comments. Bye for now.